The music was blasting so loud, I could feel it vibrating through the sidewalk outside our house. Red Solo cups littered the front yard, and laughter spilled out from the open windows like it was the best party of the year. My own father was throwing a celebration, not for a birthday, not for a promotion, but to cheer the fact that he had just kicked me out of the only home I had ever known. I stood there on the curb with 2 suitcases at my feet, rain starting to mist the air, watching my father raise a glass on the porch and shout to all our neighbors and relatives, "Finally, peace and quiet in this house again. Emma's finally gone. Good riddance to the ungrateful one." Everyone clapped. My aunt laughed. Even the guy who used to fix our car joined in with a toast. My heart didn't just break that night, it shattered into 1,000 pieces that I knew I would never find. Again, let me take you back, so you can feel exactly how we got here. My name is Emma, and I'm 26 years old. I grew up in this quiet suburban neighborhood outside Dallas, Texas, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone's business, and Friday night football is basically a religion. My mom passed away when I was 14. Breast cancer. It hit fast, and it hit hard. One day, she was baking chocolate chip cookies and helping me with my algebra homework. And 6 months later, Dad and I were standing at her graveside in the pouring rain, holding each other like the world was ending. After that, Dad became my whole world. He worked as a construction supervisor, long hours, sometimes weekends, but he always made sure I had what I needed. He taught me how to change a tire, how to cook Mom's famous meatloaf, and how to stand up for myself, or so I thought. He was strict, sure, but I believed it came from love. "I'm only hard on you because I don't want you to end up like some of these kids around here," he would say. I believed him. I stayed home after high school instead of going away to college. I got a job at the local bank as a teller so I could help with bills and keep an eye on Dad. I put my dream of becoming a writer on hold because he said, "Who's going to take care of me if you leave, Emma?" After everything I sacrificed. So I stayed. I dated a few guys, but none of them lasted because Dad always found something wrong with them. "He's not good enough for my daughter," he would say, and I would end it. Then, about a year ago, everything started to change. Dad met Karen at his work site. She was a divorced real estate agent with 2 teenage sons. At first, she seemed nice, brought over casseroles, laughed at Dad's jokes. But slowly, the house that still smelled like Mom's perfume started to feel different. Karen's sons got the bigger bedrooms. Mom's photos moved to the garage. And Dad started comparing me to Karen's boys constantly. "Why can't you be more independent like Tyler? He's already working 2 jobs." The tension built for months. I tried to talk to him. I told him I had applied for a junior editor position at a publishing house in Austin, 2 hours away, a real chance to finally chase the writing dream I had buried for years. The salary was decent, the benefits were good, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I was choosing me. Dad exploded. "You think you can just abandon this family after I raised you alone? After I gave up my life so you could have one?" The argument got ugly fast. I told him how suffocated I felt, how his control had slowly crushed me. I even mentioned the life insurance money from Mom that I suspected had quietly gone toward Karen's new car and her son's expensive sports camps. That's when he lost it completely. "Get out," he screamed. "Pack your things and get the hell out of my house." I thought he would calm down. He didn't. The next evening, he threw the party. He invited half the neighborhood, all our relatives, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. He hung a big banner on the porch that said, "Freedom at last." In big red letters, he told everyone I was lazy, ungrateful, and a burden who never appreciated anything he did. He laughed while he said it. He raised his beer and toasted to finally having the house to myself and Karen. I packed what I could while the party raged downstairs close. A few books, the old laptop Mom bought me when I was 16. The stuffed bear she gave me the week before she died. Every time I carried a box down the stairs, someone at the party would smirk or whisper. Karen's sons were playing video games in the living room. like it was just another normal night. I stood on the porch one last time. Dad looked at me, beer in hand, and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Don't come back. Emma, we're better off without you." The door slammed behind me. I drove to my best friend Sarah's apartment, with tears blurring the road. She let me crash on her couch, without asking questions. That night I cried until my chest hurt. I kept checking my phone, hoping for a single message, saying I'm sorry. Come home. Nothing. 2 long, painful weeks of silence followed. I had no idea that exactly 14 days later, my phone would start blowing up with calls and messages. And the man who had just thrown a party to celebrate kicking me out would be the one on his knees begging me to come back. Those first few days after the party felt like living inside a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every morning I woke up on Sarah's couch with the same heavy ache in my chest. I would lie there staring at the ceiling, replaying the sound of Dad's voice shouting freedom at last, while everyone clapped. The humiliation burned deeper than any physical pain I had ever felt. Sarah was incredible. She made me coffee, forced me to eat, and never once said I told you so. But the pain was so deep I could barely breathe some days. I felt completely worthless, like I had failed as a daughter. Like maybe Dad was right, and I really was ungrateful after everything he had done since Mom died. I replayed every memory in my head. The way Dad used to sit with me on the porch after Mom's funeral, and promise that we would always have each other. The way he worked overtime so I could have new school clothes. The way he cried with me the night I got my driver's license because Mom wasn't there to see it. How did that man become the one who threw a party to celebrate throwing me away? On day 4, I drove past the house, just to see if the banner was still up. It was gone, but Karen's new SUV was parked in the driveway like she had already moved in completely. I didn't stop. I couldn't. The betrayal went so much deeper than one party. It was years of quiet manipulation, dressed up as love. Every time I wanted something for myself, a trip with friends, a college application, even a simple date, Dad would bring up Mom's death, or all the sacrifices he made. After everything I've done, became his favorite way to shut me down. During those 2 weeks, I started journaling every single night. I wrote down every time he made me feel small, every time he compared me to Karen's sons, every time he made me feel like I owed him my entire life. The more I wrote, the clearer it became. This wasn't just one bad night. This was a lifetime of emotional control. I quietly reached out to a couple of people. I still trusted my Aunt Rachel on Mom's side, and my cousin Michael who lived in Austin. I didn't ask for money or a place to stay. I just told them the truth about the party, and asked if they had ever noticed how much Dad had changed since Karen came into the picture. Their replies planted the first real seeds. Aunt Rachel wrote back, "Emma, I've been worried about you for a long time, sweetheart. Your father changed after your mom passed, and Karen made it worse. We need to talk properly when you're ready." By day 10, I had my first interview lined up in Austin. I was starting to imagine a future where I wasn't constantly walking on eggshells. A future where my dreams mattered. Then came day 14. My phone started vibrating nonstop, while I was sitting at Sarah's kitchen table eating cereal. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Then the calls started coming in, one after another. Dad, Karen, Aunt Rachel. Even neighbors I hadn't spoken to in years. 88 messages and missed calls in the first hour alone. I sat there, frozen, heart pounding, as I opened the first message. It was from Aunt Rachel. "Emma, I just heard what your father did at that party. I'm so sorry. I shared your story with the rest of the family because I couldn't stay silent anymore. People need to know the truth." What followed was an avalanche I never saw coming. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years sent messages of support and outrage. Old family friends started sharing stories I had never heard. How Dad had been emotionally distant even before Mom got sick. How there were whispers of him seeing Karen while Mom was still in treatment. How significant portions of Mom's life, money had quietly gone toward paying off. Karen's debts and funding her son's expensive hobbies, while I was told there's nothing left when I asked about college funds. One message from Uncle Thomas hit especially hard. Your mother would be heartbroken if she knew how he treated you at that party. We should have spoken up sooner. The family group chat that had been silent for weeks exploded. Relatives who had clapped at the party were now confronting Dad directly. Karen apparently learned several uncomfortable truths that same afternoon and packed her bags with her sons within 48 hours. Dad started calling me frantically. Voicemail after voicemail filled with apologies, excuses, and promises to make it right. Emma, please pick up. I was drunk. I didn't mean any of it. The party was stupid. Come home, sweetheart. We're family. I didn't answer. Not once. 2 days later, he showed up at Sarah's apartment unannounced. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, eyes red, clothes wrinkled. He stood on the doorstep with flowers in his hand and tears in his eyes. Emma, I'm begging you. Please come home. The house feels empty without you. I made a terrible mistake. I stood there looking at the man who had raised me, the man who had once been my hero, and I felt nothing but calm. I told him, you threw a party to celebrate kicking me out. Dad, you humiliated me in front of everyone we know. You don't get to decide when the pain stops. He broke down right there on the sidewalk, crying and begging louder. Neighbors started to watch. For the first time in my life, I saw him small. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. The truth had already done the work. His reputation in our tight-knit community was damaged in a way he could never repair. Karen left for good. Some of his longtime friends distanced themselves. The perfect image of the devoted, single dad who had sacrificed everything was gone. 3 weeks later, I moved to Austin. I got the editor job. I started writing my novel again, this time with my own voice, not filtered through guilt or fear. I made new friends who celebrated my ambitions, instead of trying to shrink them. Slowly, piece by piece, I rebuilt my life on my own terms. Looking back at that party night, I now see it differently. Yes, it was one of the most painful and humiliating moments of my life, but it was also the night my father accidentally set me free. He threw out more than my clothes, and my childhood memories that night. He threw out the version of Emma who lived in constant fear of disappointing him. The version who believed love had to be earned through silence and sacrifice. Today I am healing. I am learning to trust again. I am building relationships based on mutual respect, not guilt. The biggest lesson I want to leave you with is this. Real family doesn't humiliate you in front of everyone to feel big. Real love doesn't make you feel small so they can feel important. Blood relation does not give anyone the right to control your life, your dreams, or your worth. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or cruel. It's simply choosing yourself, walking away with dignity, and letting the truth do its quiet work. If you're going through betrayal right now, whether from a parent, a partner, or someone you trusted, please know you are not alone. Your pain is valid. Your dreams matter. And on the other side of this heartbreak, there is a stronger, freer version of you waiting. Thank you for listening to my story with an open heart. If it resonated with you, share your thoughts gently in the comments. Remember, you deserve peace. You deserve love that lifts you up, and you are worthy of a life that feels like home. Take care of your beautiful heart. Until next time.